So first of all, very good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ayush, for having me here. As you rightly asked, that what is the process of registration and listing? So first, since there are many NGOs here, so I would start with basics that there are two things on SSC. One is SSC registration and one is listing. So many NGOs are confused between registration and listing itself. So registration is one thing where you are meeting the eligibility and you're getting registered on the social stock exchange. There are two SSCs platform, NSE and BSE. Both are there. You can either choose NSE, either choose BSE, or you can choose both also. For registration, the eligibility criteria is to be met. So eligibility criteria goes with 3 pointers where you have to establish your social intents. Second is there are exclusions given where you should not fall, otherwise you can't apply. Like corporate foundation cannot apply, political organizations or housing societies, they can't apply, religious organizations, they can't, they are not eligible. To establish the social intent, there are again 3 pointers which are given. And in the 3 pointers, the activities, first of all, I'll just give you those common pointers which everybody must fulfill. Is they must be registered under society, trust, or section 8 company. They should have a track record of 3 years. They should have a valid 12A, 12AA, 12AB, 10, 23C registration, and it should be having a validity up to next 12 months. They should have ATG also. FCRA is not compulsory, but if you are having foreign fundings, you should have that also. And apart from that, in the previous financial year, in the last financial year, the annual spending should be at least 50 lakhs, and the annual that expenditure in the last financial year itself should be at least 10 lakh. After that, I'll come to that primacy of social intent. So to establish that primacy of social intent, you have to indulge into any of the activities. They have established 17 activities. You'll find it in the eligibility criteria. So eradicating hunger and healthcare, education, gender, environmental related, and heritage, art, culture, everything is covered there. So if you are falling under those activities, any one of the activities or multiple activities, that's the first point. Second is you should have this target segment clear. So it can be unserved or less privileged population sector segments, and or you might be targeting the regions regarding the lower performance in the development priorities, which are given by CG and central government and state government. So this is the second thing. One is the activity, second is target. That common criterias were already cleared. And third one is that 67% of criteria, there are 3 conditions given, that you should have at least 67% of your average revenue coming from the target population. The average revenue of 3 years is to be taken, or it can be 67% of expenditures of the target population, again preceding 3 years average expenditures you need to take in care. And or you can be having the 67% of population, which is the of total population. This should be underprivileged or target population of the target. So you might be serving others, but 67% you should ensure of your last 3 years average. It should be either it should be for the target population, the unserved population. So these 3 criteria you need to fulfill, apart from those registration which I have mentioned, and 3 track record of 3 years, after which you are eligible and you have to apply to stock exchange. So you have chosen your stock exchange, any stock exchange, NSE, BSE, or both. They're given their checklist, so you need to download that checklist from their website, and then you have to submit those documents, disclosure. They might ask you additional disclosure, like they're asking 3 years donor details, they're asking you your employee list and your contract employees and volunteers, who are the volunteers. They're asking audited financials, 3 years audited financials, and this 10B statement, audit report, which you used to submit to income tax. So numerous requirements are coming. Once you have submitted, they will ask you further clarifications, they'll raise their observations, and at last, when everything is clear, because in those documents only you are putting everything. You're putting what is the history of the organization, what activities you do, what activity indulgence in particular, that eligibility which I mentioned, out of those 17 you're falling into. So they are also taking auditor certificates for all those conditions to be met. So you will be submitting all those documents all together, the checklist document, to exchange. Who is required to submit? Do you require RTA? There are a number of questions coming in. So you don't require any intermediary, you can do it on your own. And any organizations who is well versed with its technicalities, they can prepare those checklist items, and they shall first check the eligibility. If they're meeting the eligibility, they can submit the documents, and then exchange will take it up and they will ask you questions. Once everything is settled, they are satisfied with all the questions you have answered, they will be giving you the UTR number for making the payment. They'll ask you to enter into an agreement, and after the closure they will be giving you the approval. So once you are registered, this is one thing, you don't need to necessarily or compulsorily go for listing. It's a choice. If you want to go and raise fund, you can go afterwards, but you can remain registered also. As you can see on the on NSE, there are 81 organizations which are currently registered, but only 10 out of them are listed. So not all are choosing. They want credibility, they want visibility on the exchange. At the same time, they want the brand name of NSE BSE. So they can remain registered and they can show to their CSR funders or everyone that we are making all the compliances, because once you're registered, annual compliances get triggered. So you have to make within 60 days of closure of financially, you have to submit an annual disclosure, which will be like any annual report if you're submitting. So everything, like all the projects, again the governing council, governing body members, the financials, everything would be a part of that annual report. The format is very well given on under the SEBI framework. You can find it on 31st July 2024 circular. They have given one form 1A, form 1B, which is applicable to all registered organizations. Second thing, within 90 days of closure of financial year, you have to make annual disclosure, annual impact report. You submit annual impact report, and that impact report need to be assessed by an impact assessor firm, assessment firm, which is having 3 years of experience in impact assessment, and they have employed the social auditors. So that particular impact assessment is to be done by the impact assessment firm only. This was the compliance part that you will be submitting, and for what projects you will be submitting that impact assessment report. Those project will be for last year's top 67% expenditure you have done, the materialistic projects you need to cover. So these are the compliances which is to be done if you are registered. Now next come listing part. So for listing, once the eligibility is met during registration only, so you have to be registered. That's the eligibility for listing. So once you choose that you are going to be listed on NSE or BSE, again you can choose both, or you can go on NSE, you can go on BSE also. So you have again a checklist. There is the biggest document which Amit sir mentioned, that this is TFRD, draft fundraising document. Like any other grant you are receiving currently, it is also a grant you are going to raise publicly, and against that grant you will be issuing an instrument which is zero coupon, zero principal bond. As the name suggests, zero coupon, zero principal, you're not going to give any kind of coupon, or you're not going to pay them back at the last rate of maturity. Now you have to first be clear how much amount you want to raise, then the project, what project you want to take. Of course, the project should be falling under those 17 activities. It should not be something different out of those activities. So you have to frame a project. So how a project should look like, that is also they have explained that the project should have KPIs, they should have a solution implementation plan. You should have a breakdown of fund allocations, scopes, geography, target groups, what all segments you are covering, with all KPIs which can be measured, like timeline based KPIs, or the normal percentage based KPIs, which later on would be assessed by an impact assessor, because they will be relying on your solution implementation plan based that project. So you should first frame that project. Of course, this is a bit technical, so consultant would help you to do that. You just have to be clear about all geography and segment, etc., all those things, and the amount. So you will come out with a project. Next thing comes, how would you raise fund? So for raising fund, you have to make some awareness campaigns, and you have to make the people aware, because we need 75%. So how much you can raise? The minimum amount is 50 lakhs, maximum you can go up to any amount, as Swadesh has gone to 10 crore. So you can go. There are a number of organizations, they have raised 1 crore, 2 crore. So that depends upon you, but minimum required is 50 lakh. Then the minimum application size, whosoever is applying to subscribe that zero coupon, zero principal bond, that minimum amount which is required is 10,000 rupees. So 10,000 is the minimum application size. Apart from that, if you have chosen 50 lakh or 1 crore, whatever, minimum 75% subscription is required. Otherwise, the issue will lapse and you have to refund the amount. So that for that minimum 75 subscription, we should have at least some kind of commitments or some awareness sessions done, so our issue doesn't get lapsed. What is the process to go and get listed? Against the checklist I have highlighted, the draft fundraising document, so which is a big document, and you will have numerous chapters, including the project proposal, which is called object of the issue, the operations, whatever activities you do, the project's details would be there, the history, your governing body members details, their qualifications, what meetings you have done, related party transactions, 3 years financials, everything, any kind of litigations, everything you will be disclosing for the benefit of those investors or donors who will check this. And then this listing is a two-stage process. One is in principle. What is in principle? You have to get that approval, means that DFRD approved from the exchanges wherever you are applying, and that approval denotes that you are now eligible to go get raise funds. So that is a second stage thing. So first stage, you will have to apply to exchange to get it in principle. Of course, the checklist is there, the DFRD need to prepare. Who all would be the intermediaries will help you do that? You will need a consultant. What support consultants are providing? So as Eric's advisor, we are providing everything and anything with relation to this listing part. So what happens once you decided and you are going for raising funds, you need some you need to draft that document. So first thing is you need to appoint a RTA. Satish sir is there from KFin Technologies. There are a number of RTAs in the market, a big share, KFin Tax, LinkedIn. So the consultant would itself help you appoint an RTA. You will be requiring, because that zero coupon zero principal would be in dematerialized form, you can't issue it in physical. So that zero coupon zero principal would be allotted and it will be shown in the demat account of that donor who will be subscribing. So how it will show? Because you have to take an ISN number. Who will allot that ISN number? Depositories would allot. NSDL and CDSL are the two depository in India, will be allotting you that ISN number. Who will help you get that ISN number from depositories? RTAs would help you and the consultant. So they'll help you get that ISN number allotted to you against that zero coupon project you are raising, and that ISN would be valid from the date of allotment of zero coupon till the project cycle. So your project can be for 12 months, for 24 months, for 36 months. So that ISN would be valid and it would be reflecting as zero coupon zero principal bond in the demat account of the donor. And once the project is closed, it would be closed from their demat account also. So there is no payback. This will be closed from their demat account, and your project is also, you have to submit a certificate to exchanges for the closure of this project, that you have done this and all utilization certificate etc you have submitted. So you would need depositories, but RTAs would help you to appoint to get that ISN thing clear. Next thing is, then you will be drafting DRHP and then you will be applying to the exchange. So you should have a statutory auditor already in place. They will be auditing your financials. You need 3 years latest financials. And apart from that, there are a few certificates which is to be signed by the auditors. So of course, you should have an auditor in place. Post the in principle is received, because in principle also there would be to and fro, like it was in registration from the exchanges. They will ask you queries. Yes, there is one more entity which is additionally added by NSE. This is the project for last year's project, because you are raising fund now. How the exchange should be satisfied that previously whatever job you have done is having some impact, and now you are coming with a new project. So they need an impact assessment report of similar kind of project you have done in the previous year, and you should make it a part of your DRHP. So you have to appoint impact assessor. That firm is not needed to be a 3 years experience firm. You can have a social auditor or any impact assessor in place, and you can get that project audited through them, and that report would be forming part of your DRP. So yes, you need one more intermediary, which is a social auditor or impact assessor. Next, once you have applied, you have got your in principle, the to and fro is clear. It will take approximately 3-4 months. There is a checklist item you have to submit to the consultant. They will be preparing the document. Although this doesn't take much of a time, within 50-20 days, once the documentation part is over, they will be drafting it and they will be submitting it. After submission, exchange is taking, for first round of queries, they are taking somewhere around 15-20 days, and then you submit those answers, the reply, then again they will be raising some kind of query. So it may take 3 to 4 months. In our previous projects, we have closed in 1 month also, 2 months also. It depends upon the turnaround time of the organization, because they are also not very much familiar with this process. So it's very much technical for them. Although we help understand what are the requirements, we draft on our own, but they face such kind of issues where they are not very much likely to respond it very quickly. Now, the third thing is, once you have got your in principle, you are eligible to go and raise funds. So now you will file a final fundraising document. What is final fundraising document? You file DFRD, draft fundraising document. Some queries were raised by NSE. Now they ask you to incorporate those queries, those disclosures in the final fundraising document. And whatever, because you are now going to raise fund, you need a escrow bank where you will be receiving funds. So you need to open a separate bank account with a bank, which is a escrow account you need to open, and then only the zero coupon zero principal funds would be credited. So before and only after you have got the in principle, you have got your ISN done, because in this process only you will be receiving ISN also. So you have your ISN, you have your in principle, you will be applying to some bank, you will get that escrow account done, and all these details would be given in the DF final fundraising document, that yes, we have done all these things. Now you will open your issue. So open date and close date, minimum 3 days, and you can further extend it to 10 days. So this would be a period where your donors should subscribe to zero coupon zero principal and come out with the 75% minimum subscription. 100% well and good, more than 100% much good, but then 75% is the minimum. If you're not meeting 75%, you have to refund. And if you are meeting only 75, not 100%, the balance, how will you manage that? That also you need to disclose. So now that issue is open, the issue is closed, subscription is received. Now the subscription, who all would be allotted the zero coupon zero principal bond, will have a meeting, and the basis of allotment would be done, and you will apply to exchanges for that, for closing that basis of allotment, and fix who all would be the allottees. So the application after that would be called listing application, T plus T1 T2 application we call it. So there are T1 and T2 applications which you need to make to exchange for allotment. One is basis of allotment. Once the allotment is done, the allottees are finalized, then the credits would be done. In the demat account, the zero coupon zero principal bonds would be credited by the depository. So you apply to depositories, you'll ask them to credit the zero coupon in these demat holders account, and then once the credit is being done, you will apply for listing of those zero coupon zero principal bond on the exchange, NSE or BSE. So that is a T2 part. Once that T2 is approved, you'll get your final listing approval, which is the fundraising is done, and now that zero coupon zero principal is listed against that ISN, the name would be the date would be mentioned up to when the ISN is valid. So your project, if it is for 12 months, it would be valid for 12 months, and after 12 months it would be removed from here, and you have to make a disclosure to exchange that the project is closed. So this is the entire process. Of course, in registration you can do it on your own. During this listing part, there are some consultant you need to appoint. After listing also, there are some compliances which get triggered, as there was 60 days 90 days annual disclosure and annual impact report. It is already there. So as a listed entity also, you need to fulfill that. Apart from that, there is a utilization. Since you have raised fund, you need to submit 3 months every quarter the utilization certificate within 45 days of closure of the quarter. So you will submit a utilization certificate to exchange. Apart from that, there are material disclosures. Since you are a listed entity, you have some responsibility towards your donors. So whatever material information coming in, you have to make a policy. We make that policy during the listing time only, and we publish it on the website. And according to that policy, whatever material informations are there in the organization, somebody is leaving the organization, somebody is joining, you have got some award or some kind of material event which can affect your outcome or output, you need to disclose it within 7 days, not later than 7 days. Within 7 days at least you should disclose it to the stock exchange. So there are two additional things which has been added for a listed entity. Apart from that, everything is same. One more thing which is added is the project impact assessment of the same project which you have raised fund for. So previous year project already there in that 90 days tenure. Additionally, the one more project has been added, which is for which you have raised the fund. So that also need to be assessed by impact assessment fund, and you have to disclose it to the stock exchange. So additional disclosures has been added. The challenges which Ayush has asked is more or less because they are very much unfamiliar with the technical terms. So they face so many difficulties understanding what all these things required, because we are making it very simple for them to understand. We're not giving them anything to fill up or something. We're just asking them data, and we will turn it into the information and submit it to the authorities, whosoever is there, NSDL, CDSL, RTS, or anyone. So we're taking care of that part, but still it is difficult for them to understand and to give that data. Second is the cost factor, as Amit sir has rightly mentioned, who will fund. So we have done it for many organizations. We've done it for Mukti, Sarthak. We have done it for Root to Root. But we have done it for Dr. Mani Medical Foundation, and they have got in principle, but still they are struggling to get fund. Who will fund? Because in this organization, in this platform, CSR is yet not there. So ATG is there, but many organizations find this difficult. Why they would only donate in return of ATG, because that is also not fully deductible. It's 50%. So this is a very difficult part where organization have to first hand be clear that 75% minimum subscription they can raise, then only they should come for all these processes, because it's a very cumbersome process. Once you go through everything and you got the in principle, and later you are facing difficulty not having the donors in place, this would be a problem. Second thing is that creating the proposal, they're very unclear about the fact ki what project should be raised fund for, how much amount to be there, and how to disclose all these facts. There should be a solution implementation plan. Anita ma'am would be elaborating on this, but the solution implementation and impact assessment, which is to be taken care later on, that project should have those KPIs and everything. So they don't know what is KPI. Some of them are not doing the baseline studies. So this is again a proposal kind of this difficulty which they are having. Apart from that, disclosure related difficulty which they have is since we are closing on 31st March, they will not be able to give us audited financial before September. And they want to come for listing. So we need audited financial at least before June or July, but they will take much more longer time. So their auditors are not well equipped, or they are not ready to give them very proactively. Next thing is the disclosure which they are making. The circular of SEBI asked program wise fund utilization. They're not ready to disclose it. Many organizations are finding it difficult. We can't provide fund based the program based fund utilization. We are having many programs, we don't have utilization certificate for each and every program. So this is one difficulty which they are facing. Other difficulties are still manageable, but these kind of regulatory difficulties which they have is somewhat is mainly funding and fundraising is the problem which they are facing. And apart from everything is manageable, whatever difficulties comes in, they are not like a showstopper. We still manages that. So yeah, that's all.